Hi, I'm Pete, and this is the next stop in our tour of the Bermuda planets. This is Bermuda Earth. Alright, well, we're ready to take a close look at the Bermuda Earth and get ready to start solving this. I thought we'd take a brief tour here. When you first pick up Bermuda Earth, you'll notice that only one face can turn, and all the rest of them are bandaged. They're locked in place until you turn an adjacent face. So the orange face, normally we're going to work with that as the up face, and it has 4 fissure corners. Now, of course, we call them fissure corners. They're in fact edges. That's an edge, and then the little pieces are the actual corners, corresponding to corners on a 3x3 puzzle. The other feature of the Bermuda Earth is that there are 2 triangular faces, the green and the red, and both of these triangular faces each have 2 fissure corners. And whenever you have fissure corners on a triangular face, they're always going to be on the legs, the shorter legs, not the long hypotenuse. And it's just the way it works out. Now, I will also point out, as you're trying to assemble these edges, which is a corner, an edge, and another corner, that corner between them, the little piece, is shared by both of these. So when we're assembling things to put in place, we have to keep in mind that we'll only be able to put 2 pieces together on one side of it, and then 3 pieces on the other side. Okay, if you forget that, it's you'll end up chasing around looking for this missing piece for a while. Okay, well that's basically it. For most of the solve, I'm going to try to keep it so that the red is down, it's the D layer, the green is the B, and so our U layer is going to be the orange, and depending on how we're what we're doing, we'll have different front pieces. We'll be turning the cube mostly this way. Alright, and as far as algorithms goes, it's going to be beginner algorithms adapted for the heavily bandaged version of the Bermuda cubes, which is our variant Earth. Okay, so we'll be doing all beginner algorithms, but fairly heavily modified to get around the bandage. So the first thing we need to do then is scramble this up, and that gives us our first chance to kind of experiment with the bandaging and the unbandaging. So you can see that we can get the U layer to unbandage the green here, and if we turn the green, the triangular piece, down, we can also get the red layer moving. And if we turn the red layer, the D layer, so that the cuts line up with the blue and the yellow, well, we can get the blue going. The way you get the yellow going is you have to move things around again so that the back is unbandaged and the side is unbandaged, and then you move the back, the green, to unbandage say the right in this case. Okay, so it can be just a bit of a challenge just to get things unbandaged, but that's part of the fun. So for example, if I want to break this piece up, I have to turn the D to be able to move the F, but I can't. So I know that I can always turn the back to unbandage the front, or the left. We can unbandage the left, and it's just really just a matter of getting to know the puzzle a little bit, and you'll have no trouble scrambling it. The first few scrambles might be a little chaotic, just as you're trying to get to know the puzzle. All right, what was I trying to do? I was trying to get the left to move, so now I have that done, and I should be able to move the left piece now. Right, there you go. So you'll see that one of the strategies is, let's say I want the left to be moving along with the front, then I've got things lined up now so that the left and the front both move. You'll see, and I've used the fact that there is that sort of 90-degree angle there. If I want the front and the right to move, I just have to move the bottom layer to be able to move that. Now I can't move the right now, because even though the bottom's set up, I'm being blocked on this side. So I have to turn that, and of course I can't turn that because the I'm being blocked over here. So how am I going to solve that? Well, let's see. Okay, so now I've got that, and I can go ahead and move this back. And remember, my goal here was just to show you that I can unbandage both the front and the right at the same time. Okay, so a lot of our algorithms are going to be beginner algorithms, but they're going to be modified to get around this heavy bandaging. And I've tried really hard to come up with a notation that will be meaningful, and I think I've got a good notation, but the problem is that when you cut and paste it, I use superscripts and subscripts, and when you cut and paste it into something like YouTube, it's not going to be all that maybe as clear as I'd like. So we'll see what I can do. I'm going to paste the paste things into the YouTube comments. All of the algorithms, they may not be quite as clear as they are on the screen. All right. And as far as the watching this video goes, once you get it, feel free to fast forward the tape or rewind the tape, rewatch something if you're not sure. Yeah, the idea is to watch as much or as little of this as you need. Okay. So, and of course I'm trying to get a good scramble here, but you can see that I've actually managed to put some pieces back together, and that's going to happen on a puzzle like this. And I don't think it's a real issue to have some pieces still stuck together when you first start, because they will get unstuck as you proceed. I am trying to get this blue face to turn though. Now, part of this, part of the process that I use, the method, is just based on having done this a few times and sort of seeing where you can get into some problems. So there's usually more than one way to solve this, but I'd like to head off issues and try and avoid complicated algorithms as much as possible. All right, let's just, there we go. All right, that was it. You can sort of go keep solving or keep scrambling until it's perfect. But that's going to be our scramble, and then when we come back, we will start solving Bermuda Earth. All right, here we go. We're ready to solve Bermuda Earth. Now, remember I said that for the most part, we're going to keep the orange face as our U, our green as our B, and our red as our D. So for now, we'll just sort of look at the blue as our front. Now, there's a couple of things, as I mentioned, that will help you a little later down the road. And one of them is to get the two green fissure corners standing vertically, the way these are on the top. What that does is it saves you from having to do an edge orientation a little later on in the solve. Now, if for some reason you're working with it and you get them so that they're not standing up on the top, that's perfectly fine. As I say, you can just go ahead and do the edge orientation algorithm, and that'll solve your problem. But it's just if you can get them so that they're standing up, it just, most of the time you're able to get through it without having to do that. Okay, so that's a little bit of forward thinking here. Now, the other forward thinking is that the two hardest edges to get in are the white blue and the white yellow. So we're going to put those in first. Got to find them. And so there's the white blue. So I can't move the bottom layer now, the D layer. So usually it's the back that you have to turn. Now, what I've done here is I know I want to turn the white and I want to turn the D. So I've turned it so that the two legs are lined up with those two layers, so it'll kind of allow me to turn some stuff. And actually, I probably don't necessarily want to turn that. Okay, there you go. So now I got it turned in. Okay, that wasn't too bad. And I think I've already got my my green that I suggested should be standing up. It's already lying down, but hopefully we'll get that sorted out when I put in the other one. All right, now the other one is a yellow. There it is. So I I have to turn things back here to get the back layer moving. Get the green moving, and I want to get this, there it is. And I was just trying to unbandage the top. There's no real, there you go. And so now I want to put this one in. So probably the best thing will be to move the, to rotate the front up and then the top. So that requires a bit more bandaging and unbandaging. So again, our red is bandaged. So all I'm going to do is just turn it until it moves. There you go. So now I can turn the the F, and I'm going to turn it up to put this slot to accept this. But as you probably figured out by now, one of the things that makes the Bermuda Earth tricky is that you can never turn the bottom and the top layers at the same time, at least in this way of doing it. So now I have to unbandage the back, but that's not really a problem for us. We'll just turn things until we can turn the U layer. Okay, and now it's in position, and we just have to turn things until I can turn the D layer and turn everything into position. You see? So this kind of gives you an idea of how we're going to proceed with Bermuda Earth. So now I have those two pieces in, those challenging pieces, and for the most part they should stay if you accidentally knock them out. It is really tricky to get them back in without breaking a whole bunch of stuff. When I do it, I tend to just re-scramble and solve if I accidentally knock them out. So our next step will be to put the D-layer fissure corners in, which will be the two pieces here. And so those are red. We're looking for the two fissure corners on the red. Now I noticed that our two green, we got one of them still standing and one of them's down. So I don't think we're ever going to be able to do too much about getting that. I might have to do an edge orientation to get it to stand up. But anyway, so there's one of them, and we got to sort of think about what this is going to be here, because this is white and blue, so white and blue. So this fissure corner is going to be there, which means that the one that's not shared is going to be the white. So that means I have to assemble this with the white right there. And what I'll do is I'll assemble these two. I'll stash it away on the hypotenuse of this back face, and then I'll assemble the other red one with three pieces. Okay, and I'll show you how that works. So when we're assembling these, we're going to use the U and the B, or the green, the orange and the green here, to give us access to the various sides of this fissure corner. Now we want to work on this, so it's going to be better if this piece is over here. So all I'm going to do is get it out of the way, and there you go. So now if I could find this white piece somewhere, it's white and red, I could just put it in there. And it happens to be just over here, so I'm going to have to, I'm just going to bring it over, bring that whole thing over. Okay, so now I have it. And the first thing I'm going to do is see if it's oriented properly. It's not, so I'm going to have to change its orientation. Now, there's no real magic or secret to this. I just use some pretty straightforward ways of. I use some what's the word? Intuitive. Intuitive means just that you're fooling with it until you get it to work. So remember, we have to have it on this right-hand side in order to have access to it. So now I've got this down. We did flip it once. Obviously, it's not going to be enough. You see, it doesn't line up. But if I flip it one more time, it might actually be good. Now, the problem is that flipping it that way, I don't have any way to get it back out of the way. So I'm going to have to flip it this way. Oh, and look at that. It just happened to join up for me. So that's really all I'm doing, is I set the piece that I'm looking at on one of the legs, and I just keep rotating it and trying until I get them joined. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this section on the hypotenuse. And the reason is that it's safe there. It's really hard to dislodge, to break pieces on a hypotenuse. You can move it, but it's really hard to separate them. Okay. So the next one now, the next fissure corner, the next fissure edge that we're going to have here is this one. And yeah, the fissure corner. And I just realized that this is also lying, this is the wrong orientation as well. So we are going to have to reorient some pieces. Normally, yeah, I'm going to have to somehow turn them down. So that'll be another little thing for us to work on. Now let's take a look at this. Remember that the common piece is going to be blue and red. So this one will have all three pieces in it. So let's see, there's the blue. So let's see how that works. No, that didn't work at all. So all I can do is, let's see here. Okay, let's see if we can. So now I've got this one and I've moved it. Oops, all right, I lost track of it. And so now I've managed to rotate that piece into place. Okay, so yeah, there's, unfortunately, I kind of have to do a little bit of what we would call hand waving here. I really don't have a like a strategy to tell you other than just to kind of keep rotating things and just keep trying like that. Sometimes you can get it to work. That didn't work in that case, but that was a good, I think it was a good try. So now I'm going to put this whole completed section on this triangle, and now I can take advantage of being able to move stuff around. Okay, I'm going to flip this again, and it flipped into place. Okay, that's what we're looking for. And this one's oriented correctly, so that's a good sign. All right, so because it's oriented correctly, I'm just going to, I think what I'll do is actually put it into place. So let's take a look. This is the yellow, blue, and yellow, blue. So it's going to be on this leg right here. Okay, there we go. Oh wait, I can't do that. Sorry. I almost broke one of my own rules. Now we're going to have to put this completed piece on the hypotenuse and just kind of save it. The reason is that we have to put the shorter one in first. But in this case, I'm going to have to get the shorter one oriented because right now it's sticking up. Now there's a couple ways you can change the orientation of pieces on here, and probably the easiest way is using the algorithm, which I'm going to show you. But because I'm going to show that later, I will change this orientation by rotating this white face, just as a demonstration of how that works. Okay, now what I have to do here is find a safe way to get everything. Yeah, okay. So what's happened is I got this piece on the wrong side of things. Okay, what I've broken my my piece. All right, it's all right. It's fine. Yeah, so I munched that piece, but you know what? It was wrong anyway. Unfortunately. All right, I think I can now put this one down. So now this is on the hypotenuse, and so it can be tucked safely out of the way. I just don't want it to get munched just like this other one did as I'm turning things. So my goal is just to rotate that piece down, and that was the only thing I really cared about was this piece that I've already assembled. The rest of it, I can put that white piece in quite easily. Okay, so what I've done is I've lined things up so that the back and this white face are free to turn. And I've lined this up so that the top, oh okay, and this is free to turn. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this down. I gotta get, I don't want to munch that, so I'm going to turn this out of the way, and then I'm going to turn that up. Oh, look at that, we got one of our green ones sticking up. So now I have everything sorted out here. This one's correct, and all I have to do now is just fix it. So we lost a little bit of work, but it's not catastrophic. You just have to find the piece. There it is right there. Yeah, and nope, I was hoping that it would just pop right in, but no, I can't. Oh, look at that. We were able to pop it right in. And that's what happens a lot of times. The issue is really getting the pieces oriented correctly. And so once they're oriented, even if they're separated, you can often pop them in. So now we're ready to put both of our pieces together. Now on the Fisher face, the target face, I've put temporarily the assembled 3 pieces there just because it's fairly safe there. But really, it has to go. It's going to go somewhere else. So let's just turn this and see where each is going to go. So this one, the blue and the yellow, is going to go over here, which means that the one that has 3, which has to go in first, will go right there. So now I'm going to line everything up. That's the target. That's the piece that's going in. Okay, and if we did everything right, then this will be fine. Yeah. This is correct, and then the shared piece is right there. So all I have to do is move this piece from there to there, which is okay, and there you go. So those 2 pieces are in. They're shared piece. So I did the 2 first, then I did the one with 3. Now that we've done that, we're going to do the same thing with the green. And I had said that things would be easier if the green pieces were sticking up, and indeed, once we got everything oriented, the green pieces ended up sticking up. If you got to this part and they weren't sticking up, you would just turn everything around and do an edge orientation, the same as you would do on a regular 3x3, using the method that I'm going to show you a little bit later. Okay, so that's the way that would happen, because otherwise it's going to be very, very difficult to do an orientation using the method that I used for this, because you'd be breaking a lot of stuff. So now we're going to do the same thing, and our green piece sits like this. So we've got red and white, so that's red and white here, so this one goes here. So let's just put that one as the short one, and then this other one, we'll make that the long one. Okay, there's no real reason to do one or the other. Okay, if one of them was already assembled and had both pieces, then that would be the one to pick. Now we got to be careful, because we want to put, this is the hidden one, or the one that's not shared, and that's the white. So we're going to have to put this one, this is the white, and that goes over there. So let's see how we can do this. Okay, I'm going to put this piece here on this right leg so that we have access to it. And then I'm going to grab the piece and hide it away. And let's just see if if it's lined up. No, it's not lined up. So that means I have to turn that piece. So there, I've turned it. Okay, and what I'm going to do, there's the piece, it's the target piece. I put this back, and now hopefully, yes indeed, it's lined up. So that one's good, and it's ready to go. So a little tip for you, when you have an assembled section, store it on the hypotenuse, the long edge. It makes it really hard. It's really hard to break up accidentally when it's on the hypotenuse. So the next section we're going to put together is the other one, which is the going to have red and yellow. That goes over here, and it sort of looks like we have it assembled, but really we don't, because there's that piece goes over here. But let's just do the same thing that we did before. I'm gonna flip this. I'm going to put it on this side, and the piece that we want there is this, which isn't oriented properly. So the best I can do, I think now, is this. I have to use this side to flip it, and it just so happens that it lined up quite nicely. Sometimes that works, sometimes you have to do one more flip. So now we've got that, and there's one more piece to put in, which is right here. it's just not sitting. It's just, oh no, that's not the piece. Okay, that's the piece right here. Okay. So now in order to access this piece, I'm going to put it on this, the left-hand side of the triangle, and turn it that way. Okay, so we're just reversing things. And notice the pieces we already assembled are safely stored away. So first thing to do is to check, because you never know, it might already be oriented. It's not. So we're going to use the same method to orient it that we've been using before, which is to pick it up. And I believe that's what we're doing. Put that out of the way. Okay, put everything back, and let's see. Every time you do that, you're going to turn it one turn. Okay, one more should do it, right? So now we've rotated it. Okay, move that out of the way. So you're basically doing the equivalent of the old-fashioned corner rotation. You're just doing it a different way. Okay, so we've had to rotate it twice, and now it's correct. Okay, so now I want to put these pieces in place, but remember we have to store assemble the second one, the one with 3. We have to do that last. So I'm going to put it out of the way. I'm going to turn up the hypotenuse. I'm going to put this one safely on the hypotenuse, and then I'm going to decide where this other one goes. So this is white green. It goes over here. It goes on that leg. So I'm just going to turn that leg up. Okay, it's correct. And this part's okay because we'll fix that. Okay. So when we turn it down, indeed, it is correct. So the next thing is to get this one out of the way. We'll bring up the target leg. And when we turn it in, look at that. It assembles the whole thing. Okay. So when we look at this, we've actually done quite well here. We've got the bottom layer of the Bermuda Earth completely solved. So the next thing then will be to assemble, do the standard 3x3 last layer. Now we already have some of the edges oriented. We've got to get these edges oriented. We got to get the edges in place. And then we deal with the corners. Now these are, again, we're going to use beginner methods. For example, to flip these, I'm going to use F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime, just that 6-move algorithm. But we have to do a lot of bandaging and unbandaging. Okay, so when we come back, that's what we'll be doing. Right, well, we're back, ready to do our last layer, and the last layer starts with edge orientation. Now for this algorithm, we're going to keep blue as our front, orange as our U, and the D is red. B back is going to be green. So we're going to do the standard edge orientation beginner's method, but we have to modify it to accommodate the bandaging, and that's really all it is. It's just there's going to be bandaging using the B and the D layers. Now, as far as setting this up, just a refresher, the beginner's method, if you have a line, you're going to make it across so that the front and the back ones are wrong. If you have an L where 2 of them are good, you're going to put the 2 good ones towards the back and the left. And if you have a dot where none of them are good, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. And if you have any of the anything other than a line, you have to apply this twice, which is fine. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the B down. We're going to turn it clockwise, so that's a plus, until the bottom layer is unbandaged. Okay. Now, once you get used to this, you probably won't really have to look at it. And then we're going to turn the D layer until the F and the R are unbandaged, which means these 2 cuts are lined up with the F and the R. Okay, F and R. Okay, and we're going to do that and undo that as we go through this algorithm, and that's really all it is. So just to back up, it's going to be B and then D just until the F and the R are unbandaged. So remember the algorithm is FRU, right? So we'll do F, R, but now we can't do the U, okay? But that's no problem. What we're going to do is we're going to turn D back. We're going to turn B back, and now we're going to do the U. Now we have to do R prime, but we can't because it's blocked. So we'll turn B back or forward, D forward, and now we'll do R prime. But we can't, now we can't do U. So again, we unbandage everything. And now we'll do U prime. And then the last thing is F. And again, we have to unbandage everything. Alright, trying to do it without looking too hard. There you go. Alright, and then F prime. Okay. And then we just unbandage everything. And it may seem kind of weird, but it doesn't harm the puzzle at all, as long as you bandage and unbandage and you aren't moving any pieces that are involved in the algorithm. Okay, and you see that we have our U layer oriented, and well, we have a couple pieces correct, but we don't have all of them. Okay, so that was the edge orientation, and it was just FRU, R prime, U prime, just bandaging and unbandaging using B and D to unbandage F and R as needed, and U. Okay, so that was edge orientation. Now the next one is edge permutation. Now there are a lot of different ways to do edge permutation. I'm going to use Soon, which is a really good algorithm, and what Soon does is it recycles edges, this edge, and this edge counterclockwise, and that's the only version I use. So if I need to go clockwise, I'll just do it twice. And so it doesn't affect the front piece. Okay, so for this algorithm, we're going to keep the blue as our F, and we just need to figure out which piece to put where. Remember that it's going to go counterclockwise. So if I look at this, this is blue and yellow, which means that this piece has to have a yellow. Yes, it does. A yellow right there. So when it flips around, the yellow will be there. Then this has a green, and then that one will go up there. That has a green. Okay, so that's correct right there. So you have to really look at this. Otherwise, you'll have to do it a couple of times, right? If we do it that way, then these three pieces will be correct, and that one will be correct. Okay, so this is our Soon. We're going to use blue, and we're pretty well going to do the same kind of thing that we were doing before. We're just because remember that Soon is uses R and U, and that's it, right? It's R's and U's. The only problem we have is that U is unbandaged right now, but R isn't. So we'll be doing exactly the same bandaging and unbandaging, or well, unbandaging moves that we did the last time. So we're gonna so Soon is R U. So I'm gonna turn this down. Gonna turn this one over, right? So now I can go R, and we have to unbandage it. Whoa. U. Okay, and now it's R prime, so we have to R prime. U. R. U2. R prime. Okay, and hopefully, if that went well, all of our edges are correct. Okay, so it was just the regular Soon algorithm, but with just bandaging and unbandaging moves, the back and the bottom the same as the FRU, the edge orientation one. Now, one of the things is that I know the Soon algorithm through muscle memory, and it's very easy to fire off. As soon as you put bandaging and unbandaging in, it's very easy to get lost. And if you're in that category, I strongly suggest that you go ahead and write it down before you do it, so that you'll be able to follow along. Now, our next step, and this is, I got incredibly unlucky in this case, our next step is edge permutation. We got to move the edges correct. We're going to use the beginner's method, but something absolutely phenomenal happened, is that my edges are correct for this particular solve. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a moment, I'm going to fix this, and then I'm going to come back and have a more authentic solve experience by having the edges out of sequence. Okay, we're back, and we have a more realistic solving experience. It's very, very rare that you get a corner permutation skip on one of these, but it does happen. So this is normally what you'll have, which is you'll have maybe one good one and then some bad ones, or maybe no good ones. This algorithm is fairly complex because even though we're using the beginner method to permute our corners, it's really hard to move actually I think it's 4 faces. We have to move 4 faces in this algorithm, and there's no getting around it. So, I've tried some other ways. Some of the Bermuda series you can use the beginner method where you cycle the corners down, but we don't even have that available here. So for this particular algorithm, we're going to use the green as our right hand side, so our F is going to be a yellow, and our L is going to be blue. Okay, so it's just a little bit different, just a different method of doing it. So the idea is to cycle the corners. Now, this step I'm about to mention is really important, really, really important. If you have a good corner, you're going to put it in the front left, right here. Okay, and so you're going to cycle the rest of these corners. Now, at this point, you have to look and see what you're going to need to do to cycle these. The reason I'm saying this is that the setup moves for this scramble temporarily the edges. So if you're relying on the edges to see whether you're done or not, it's not going to work. So please take a moment to look. What we're doing is we're cycling these counterclockwise, and again, that's the only way I do this. If I need to cycle something clockwise, I'll do it twice counterclockwise, because I only want to learn and become familiar with one algorithm for each step. Okay, so what we see here is that this one has to go not to here but to here, and then this one has to go here and then here. So that means I'm going to have to do the counterclockwise cycling twice, and that's a typical kind of thing. Okay, so I'll just have to do it twice. Now there's a setup move we have to do, and the reason we have to do the setup move, if you look on this side, this is a conventional face. Okay, it's bandaged right now, but it is a conventional face. But on this side, we don't have a conventional face. It's a triangular face, but we do have 2 sides that we could use. And what I have to do is a little sequence to rotate this face so that we can use these 2 legs for our algorithm. It's just a standard beginner's method algorithm for 3 cycling corners, but we have to do this little trick. So the setup move then is going to be, we're going to do an R plus until it lines up with U. U2. Do an R minus until it lines up with U. U2. And then we'll do an R plus until it lines up with U. And finally a U2. Now that's done a couple of things. First, it has not changed the corners at all. The corners are still in their relative positions. It has changed the edges, right? And it's also rotated this face so that we have an R and a U, and we can do what we need is our R plus turn. That's what we need. Okay, or our R turn, and it enabled that. Okay, we can undo that move, and we know how to, that undoing it's not going to affect the corners. So now what I need to do is basically do it's going to be the R, U prime, L, U, R prime algorithm to cycle these, and I have to do that twice, and we have to do some bandaging and unbandaging along the way. Okay. Now I really wish that I could do this without changing how we bandage and unbandage, but unfortunately, depending on the position of this face, how we unbandage the D layer really depends on like which direction we turn this in. Really depends on where we are in the algorithm. So unfortunately, you really have to pay close attention to how the D layer gets unbandaged. So the first part, then, we're going to do just a conventional R, U prime. Okay, so that's got us started. And now I need to be able to do an L turn. So in order to do that, I'm going to do an R minus, which is just a turn until the D layer is lined up, and then a D minus. And again, it's just until the L is available, okay, to be turned. Then we'll do it's actually an L prime. We'll do our L prime, and now we have to reverse that. So we just reverse it and reverse it. Okay, and now we can continue with the algorithm. Okay, it's going to be a U, R prime, U prime. Okay, and now we got to unbandage things again, but now I'm going to do this by doing an R plus. If I do an R minus, it'll munch that corner, unfortunately. So I have to do an R plus to unbandage. But we still do our D minus. Okay, and now we do the rest of the algorithm, which is L. And now I have to unbandage things again. And we do a U. Okay, and if you notice, it has 3 circular corners. Remember that the edges are not in their proper places. So in order to make this work, I have to do one more. If you remember, we had to do one more of those algorithms. So let's try this again then. Sometimes you only have to do one if you only need one counterclockwise cycle. So it's going to be R, U prime, okay, and then we'll unbandage, L prime, U, R prime, U prime, and now we have to unbandage this one in the opposite direction so we don't munch the top. L, back it up, and U. And so now we've done that algorithm twice, and when we put everything back together, you'll see that all of the corners will be in their proper places. Now, putting it back together means undoing the setup move that rotated this. And undoing the setup move is U2. It's R minus, which is this way, until this lines up. U2. R plus, which is to turn it until this lines up. U2. And now I think you can see what we need to do here. R minus, and that's it. And so when I align this up, we see this one's already in place and oriented. This corner's in place, needs to be oriented. In place needs to be oriented. In place needs to be oriented. We are almost finished solving Bermuda Earth. Last step then is corner orientation. Okay, we're ready to do corner orientation on the Bermuda Earth. Now, we're going to use the corner orientation method from some of the more bandage cubes, such as the Crazy Two-Face series, the Crazy Planets, not the Bermuda Planets, the Crazy Planets, where we rotate 2 corners at a time using Soon anti-Soon combination. And it's really effective because it only requires 2 faces, but as usual, we have to do some bandaging and unbandaging. So we're going to keep orange as the top, and for this one we're going to use the front will be our green face, and so white will be our right hand face. Okay, so the idea is to put two pieces that need to be oriented to the back. Now I know that if you've used this algorithm before, I know that they tend to go there, and I will eventually move them there, but we have some weird stuff to do on the front. We're going to munch the front of the puzzle a little bit, so in order to unbandage things. So that's why we put the ones that we need to rotate on the back first. Okay, so some setup moves. Now the setup moves here are pretty spectacular, but don't worry, everything will be fixed. But what we have to do is get it so that we can do the algorithm without any bandaging and unbandaging getting in the way, because it's a fairly lengthy algorithm. Okay, so what I got to do now is I got to rotate the front until counterclockwise until the D layer is unblocked. So now the D layer is unblocked. Now I got to rotate the D layer counterclockwise until F and R are both unblocked. So got to keep going, and now I've got F can move and R can move. Now we got one more thing to do, which is that I'm going to rotate F, keep rotating F counterclockwise until both the U and the R layer are unblocked. Keep going, there you go. Okay, so now the U is unblocked, the R is unblocked, and the beauty of this is that we don't have to do any more unbandaging while we do the algorithm. That if you know this algorithm by heart, you can just run through it. So now I'm going to do a U prime to put the two pieces that need to be rotated on the left, and now I'm going to do my soon. I'm going to do a U2, and then I'm going to do an anti-soon and another U2. Okay, so if you'll remember then, the algorithm is, this is just a regular soon. Okay, so it's R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. That's a regular soon. Now I'm going to do a U2, and I'm going to do a backhand anti-soon, which is basically reversing all of those steps. It's R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R prime, U2, R. And then we'll do another U2. Okay, and you'll notice that we got one of our pieces is indeed rotated correctly. Okay, so that's sort of, now the worst case might be that you get that one correct and then you have to go back and kind of work your way around the puzzle. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm just going to undo everything just for perspective here. It is possible to keep going here. You'd have to do another setup move, but I just don't want to get things too confused. Okay, because remember, we had a setup move to move these two onto the side. So our reverse setup move is doing a U. Okay, I got to rotate the F until basically until the D is correct, like that. Then I got to rotate the D until the F is correct, and now I can move this up. Okay, so notice we got that one fixed. Now just have to rotate these two. We'll set it up exactly the same way and run through that algorithm again. Okay, so remember, we're going to rotate F counterclockwise until D can move. I'm going to rotate D counterclockwise until F and R can move. And then I'm going to rotate F counterclockwise until U and R can move. I know it seems kind of complicated, but remember, the pieces we want to work on are here, and they're safely out of the way. And now I do a U prime, and the two pieces I want to rotate are right there. And now I'm ready to do my two-corner rotation. That's a good algorithm to memorize, by the way, but again, it is very difficult when you're working on such a heavily bandaged puzzle. I'm using some notes here to follow along so I don't get lost. Okay, so it's going to be, so soon is going to be R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. That was my soon. I'm going to do a U2. And now I'm going to do a backhand anti-soon. R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R prime, U2, R. Okay, so now I've got that done. And now I'm going to do a U2. Okay. And what I think has happened is that it hasn't finished rotating these. You can see that they still need to be rotated one more time because I would expect them both to be correct now. So what I'm going to do, since we're back, these two have to be operated on again, is I'm just going to run that algorithm again. So it's soon and then backhand anti-soon. So it's R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. Then we'll do U2. And then we'll do a backhand anti-soon. R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R prime, U2, R. And then we have to remember to do a U2, which finishes off that algorithm. And indeed, our two edges are oriented correctly. So now we have to undo the setup moves. The first setup move the last setup move we did was the U to get the two from the back. And then we just have to untangle all of this. So you're going to be doing, now you're going to be doing clockwise moves. Going to turn F until the D layer is correct. Turn D until the F layer is correct. Turn the F layer until everything else is correct. And there you go. That is Bermuda Earth solved. Okay, so I hope that all of the algorithms towards the end, I hope they don't scare you off, because I think with a little bit of practice, a little bit of experience, it is really quite straightforward. The bandaging and unbandaging steps become second nature. Okay, and I also hope that you can see that really I'm solving these not with complex algorithms, but with very, very simple algorithms that are that come from heavily bandaged puzzles, other types of puzzles, crazy series, crazy two-face series, and then we just adapt them for the heavy bandaging that is the Bermuda series. So that's it for me for this video. As always, I appreciate and welcome your comments, your questions, your suggestions, and until next time, thanks for watching.